Just to give you a bit of a context, no, I don't travel on a budget all the time. I do sometimes stay in hostels, but not often. I'm not the hostel type of person. I still need my privacy and still need to work at night whenever I travel. But you know, I also want to fully invest in my travel experience, so I don't want to have to always worry about how much am I gonna spend here.
Oh, do I have enough money? Oh, is this gonna be worth it or not?
It has to be in a way that I can just spend, not splurge, but just spend to enjoy my trips and to be able to do what I want without hesitation. Definitely, I am not earning from YouTube. First, no, I didn't sell my house, my car, my everything, my whole world, and packed everything into one bag. No, I still have a home base. In fact, I'm at home right now. This is my house. And no, I'm not rich. I didn't get any sponsorships from mommy or daddy whatsoever. I gotta admit that 35 countries were not completed or done totally by myself. I did go to a few countries with my parents or on a school trip or something like that. However, I have been to about half of it by myself with my own budget. So definitely I would be responsible for what I earn, what I make, and what I spend on. So this leads me to the next part, how I save money. So first, prioritize what you spend on every day. Know your fixed expenditures. So if you have to pay rent, utilities, and all that, that is fixed, that you know you have to pay. So put that aside, yeah, that is okay. But the things that you don't have to spend on, that you want to spend on, that's not traveling, maybe you want to reconsider that. If you want to travel, you might have to give up a little bit of happiness on something else. For example, I consider myself very lucky that I'm not a fashion kind of person. I'm not into makeup. You can see, like, this is like my fresh face. This is my out of the shower face. Out of the bed face. Is really no makeup whatsoever on my face right now, you can see. So this is like how I go out every single day. I don't spend money on cosmetics, thankfully. I'm always in my t-shirts, so nothing related to fashion or beauty, whatever. I just put sunscreen every day, just personal care. You can also maybe give up on expensive food, eating out, maybe cook at home instead, eat cheaper. There are many ways you can eat cheap but still maintain nutrients and be healthy. Skip things like parties, expensive drinks like alcohol, just have water. I have water all the time. It's healthy and maybe not tasty, but it's the cheapest drink you can get, maybe even free if you're in places like Switzerland where they have fountains you can fill your bottles with. Zurich water is generally really clean and drinkable, so you can fill your bottles up. Oh, like he's filling it up. Maybe skip entertainment as well. Maybe give up on movies, series. If you are subscribed to certain streaming platforms, you pay that every month, right? So I'm not saying for you to unsubscribe, but you might want to consider that. Or anything else that you pay monthly, because they each seem very little, but then when they get accumulated, it's actually a lot. Also, I try to fix things instead of buying new things as long as they're fixable. For example, I mend my clothes and stuff. I will show you. This is my hairband. I use it almost every day, and once the cloth got ripped off, what did I do? I mended it. So here you go. The color doesn't even match, but it works. I can still use it to tie my hair, so nothing wrong with that. Next is, instead of using public transport, maybe you could walk or cycle or travel cheaper. Another important thing is to not spend too much on gadgets every few years. I know a lot of people who buy smartphones every 2 or 3 years, which is really frequent in my opinion. I used my previous phone for 5 years. Yeah, it was an iPhone 6. Now I bought an iPhone 11 because I think it's finally time. But 5 years is a long time, I think, long enough to buy a new phone. I only have my phone, my MacBook, which was bought in 2014. So it's like 7 years old. It's a MacBook Pro 2014. But I'm still using my MacBook. I won't have to spend, thousands of dollars on a new gadget every few years. And also I have a GoPro here that I use for vlogging, just because it's more convenient, and I see this as an investment, and it's my first action camera. I also have a drone, a DJI Mavic. That's also more of an investment and just something I haven't had before, so it's a new thing. I think it's worth it. Okay, next one, and this is possibly the easiest thing you can do. Save electricity, save utility costs. Instead of using the aircon if you're in a hot country, maybe go for fans instead. Use less lights if you don't really need lights to read or anything like that. Another thing is to put money aside every month. So try to have a target of how much money exactly you want to save for traveling. Okay, this one might be a little controversial, but I tend to use credit cards instead of cash, and that's because I get to collect points and then exchange them for either coupons or mileage for flights or other perks. But of course, if you use a credit card, you have to be very responsible. You have to keep track of your finances, of your spending. Right, another one is also maybe a bit weird, but I am still living with my mom. So it helps you save a lot on rent, even utilities. And finally, if you have the choice, or if you were given the choice, try to work from home. Yes, maybe it's a bit boring or you might feel a bit lonely, but you get to save time from commuting, save money from commuting, plus you can spend more time on getting your job done. Finally, I'm going to talk about how to travel on a budget. So first you gotta compare the fares of the flights from different websites. And also you may need to book in advance, maybe 2 months in advance as well. So it all depends on a lot of things. Whether you travel during the high season, during the public holiday, or travel last minute. If these three are the case, then flights will probably be more expensive. As for accommodation, I've already mentioned it. Hostels are usually the cheapest option, but they're not ideal for people like me or certain digital nomads who need to work in peace. Or another option would be couch surfing. But if you're a female traveler, you can check out a Facebook group called Host a Sister, and that is basically couch surfing just for females. I used it both as a host and as a guest, and I had an amazing time in Luxembourg as a guest, and my host was super lovely. She took really well care of me. Unfortunately, I stopped hosting because of COVID-19, but who knows, maybe after this, if I'm around, I might host again. Also, while traveling, walk as much as you can. I mean, walking is such a great way to explore the area, to see the little details. I really enjoy walking when traveling, especially in cities. I have walked a lot when I was in Europe, where I walked on average 20 plus to 30 plus thousand steps a day. So it's great exercise as well. Another way is to find a travel buddy where you can split costs of accommodation or sometimes transportation if you go by taxi. Okay, this next one may sound very tempting, but don't buy souvenirs. I mean, of course, this is up to you. You can support the locals. I am not against that, of course. It's not like I never buy souvenirs. I sometimes buy little souvenirs, very small ones like magnets. I also want to carry things as lightly as possible, as I backpack a lot. Small souvenirs are fine, just not too much. That will help you save a lot of money, because souvenirs are usually for tourists. They're touristic, so they're usually kind of pricey. Talking about shopping, of course you can also bargain, but don't bargain too much. I still am all for supporting the locals, but sometimes locals seriously overcharge you. So I would say just bargain once. If they can give you a discount, it's probably a win-win situation because you know you can afford it and they are happy with the discounted price because they decided to give the discount. Right, next one is about doing a lot of research because you don't want to be, in a tourist trap. You don't want to be scammed. You don't want to lose money that way because it's losing a lot of money. Always be very careful when traveling. Also talking about research, if you know exactly where to go and how to go, how long it takes, how much it costs, you may not even need to hire a tour guide, or you may not even need to buy a tour package. So you could go by yourself, have that freedom, and also save money on not buying any tours. But again, if you want to go for tour guides, I would equally support that because in a way, again, it would support the local economy and you get to directly interact with locals. So occasionally I hire tour guides just to talk to that person, ask a lot of questions about the culture, the traditions, the whys and the whats and all. So it can be a very interesting experience as well. Alright, last but not least, this is applicable if you have time, and that is to travel for longer periods because it's just cheaper to travel from one place to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other continuously rather than going to one country at a time. I don't know what you can do about that. Maybe take a sabbatical, or if you think you have enough savings, you could maybe quit your job for a year or two, or I don't know, you may need to find ways to travel for as long as you can to make that flight ticket worth it. Back when I worked a full-time job, I would try to combine public holidays with weekends with annual leaves. So that way I could get somewhere between 10 to 14 days of holidays. But even so, that's not really enough for me. I love traveling so much. Now that I freelance, I have the time, I can manage my schedule, but the bigger challenge is to manage finances. So I hope that this has answered your question, and if you have any other questions, feel free to comment them below. And hopefully you'll be able to achieve your dreams of world travel. Alright, see you next time. Bye!